Wagwan, my G's. Welcome back to the Overwatch League, everybody. It's time for some late night games for us in LA, but you know, where you're watching, could be the morning, could be the afternoon. Give you the old Brennan special, you know, you just drop that line in, that's how you know it's a late night cast. This time, the last two games of the night are going to be casted by myself and Joshua Sideshow Wilkinson. So welcome back, everybody. And my word, what a banger it is going to be. Shanghai versus Seoul, Josh. This has the makings of one of the greatest matches we've ever seen in the history of sports.
Okay, I mean, you always manage to take a match that really should be great and you oversell it somehow. How have you managed to oversell?
To next levels, bro. Okay. I elevate it.
All right, I don't know how you've quite managed to oversell. Well, I think this next game that is coming up, Seoul versus Shanghai, could potentially be a grand finals preview. Yeah. It's the two teams at the moment that look like they're 1 and 2, but we haven't seen enough yet of either of the teams against other elite opponents to really have a great idea. So this is the testing ground. This is to see whether that theory really is true, and it's going to be wildly entertaining no matter which way it goes. If it's close, if it's a roll for either side, it's just going to be amazing.
Well, let's take a look at the starting lineup here for Shanghai, because they're running... what I like about the Shanghai Dragons is they've got such a large amount of depth to their roster that they can alternate between different players, different roster styles, just on a whim, essentially. And the ones that they're going to be rolling with today, none other than Fleder and Lip. So, obviously, something to note here is that Fleder's playing against his old team, his former team of Seoul. Yeah. And, of course, you have Fearless and Void here as the tank line, and Izayaki and Lee Jae-gong as the support line. No real question marks here from my POV.
No, it does seem to indicate, though, that they're likely to play a bit more Winston. Maybe they're intending to play that at the beginning. Yeah, with Fearless coming into the lineup. Normally, they would run Stand 1 if they were going to run the Orisa or the Reinhardt extensively. And yeah, Fleder being able to play against his former team. We're unlikely to see any Fleder deadlifts tonight because we're expecting both of these teams to be really stacked across the board. And God knows, Fleder is not in a position where he's lacking for DPS players alongside him with Lip, this fantastic player that's just kept getting better and better. But you've got to want a little bit of a vengeance, I think, from the Seoul Dynasty that let go of you in the offseason. You want to prove that you're the kind of player that could have got them that championship.
Now, on the other side of things, now, Josh, I know you really want to dive into the roster itself. You get really excited when we talk about rosters.
I do.
But Seoul have put together a magical package for us to witness before this match. Let's take a look at it.
My ultimate leadership gesture profit, I wanna beat them.
Tiger Nation. Yo, get the hell out of my zone. Champion is my throne. I just chugged it up slow. I look on my team swole. Hit you with a bomb, bomb, bomb. Shadow with a red down. Skies are red, the man down. Sounded like bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb, bomb. You don't want none. You don't want none.
Seoul Dynasty has a very good chance to be one of the strongest teams in the league this season. The added pieces they got from the London Spitfire, plus the good holdovers that they had from last year's roster. Fitz and Marvel, Michelle on the bench. Very good players. Combo now with Gesture and Prophet and Ocean. You have a powerhouse team.
My ultimate leadership gesture profit, I wanna beat them.
So here's that Seoul starting lineup that we know that you're all anticipating. And going to be running with, of course, Fitz and Prophet as their DPS duo. Nothing really out of the ordinary as well across the board, as you can see, with Gesture, Marvel, as the tank line, and Toby and Medosa, which does say that they're going to be running all of that Rhine Sigma compositions they've been running. But the thing is, Marvel has just been playing well on every tank. It's not just the main tanks that he's been doing it on, he's been doing it on D.Va as well as everything else that's within the acceptable parameters of Overwatch during this week, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, actually, with Marvel playing more in this, whether when he goes up against an elite team, whether he can really still keep it together. His statistics are interesting to dive into, because this guy, he's a main tank player, for starters, let's put it out there, but he plays the Sigma. And since he's been playing the D.Va, he has the highest eliminations per 10 on D.Va in the entire league. But that's kind of expected, because Seoul Dynasty have been rolling everybody. But he also has the 3rd highest deaths per 10 minute on D.Va. So now coming up against another team that's we anticipate to be at the same level as the Seoul Dynasty, I'm wondering whether the Shanghai Dragons can abuse this factor, try and force Marvel onto D.Va as much as possible, see if they can get a little bit of a weakness exploited there.
Let's take a look at our map set as well, as we're about to head into the game. I think the players are all ready, and it's going to be Oasis, which is map number 1, followed by Hanamura and Rialto, which we're going to be guaranteed to get to a little bit later. And then, of course, Hollywood, Nepal, Lijiang, Taha, Busan, all the rest of them, you know, maybe we'll see them. Josh, you know what? Despite the fact that it is currently 2:38 a.m. in Los Angeles, yep. I want to see this match go to distance. If we saw this go to map 7, you know, I am okay with it.
Map 9.
Map 9, I mean, it could go to map 9, right, if we see some draws. Maybe? No. I think it's map 7.
It's possible to go map 8. I think that's theoretically possible. I don't know. I mean, you could draw on escort maps as well, couldn't you, if we're really testing the theoretical bounds of the universe. But I think that this game has the potential to be a doozy. Now, just before we start, though, Super on his stream, I want to read you a quote from Super, the player from the San Francisco
You're pulling up quotes.
Yep. Super said, one of these teams is going to get hard exposed, in my humble opinion. One of these teams is going to get bleeping rolled.
Can you say it in Super's voice?
No, I can't. Earlier, Super named Shock, Philly, and Shanghai as the best 3 teams in the league. So presumably he believes Seoul are about to get exposed. Let's see whether that happens or whether we get that incredible match we believe.
Well, here we go. The teams are clashing on Oasis. On the upper areas now, as you can see, of Gardens, they're going to be exchanging shots for now, running almost mirror compositions, slight changes when it comes to the tank line and support line, but immediately it's going to be Prophet who picks up the first kill onto Void. Can I get any more, though? Traded out as Marvel will fall, adding another death to the statistics there, ranking himself up. We'll see if Prophet can get anything else done. He's going to use the ice block pretty early just to survive. Lipto on the high ground, flashbang, nice little left click there from the Peacekeeper, able to find the shots, not quite onto Bedosin. But he's already got the damage in and got the damage done. Still could be anyone's game here, it feels like, but Shanghai slightly edging this win in their favor.
Yeah, taking better position with their players, essentially. And I think Void Sigma, even though he died early on in the fight, I feel like the Rein Sigma is going to be better against the Rein D.Va if Marvel keeps playing this. I mean, for starters, Marvel isn't on a comfort roll. He's better on the Sigma than he is on the D.Va, just hands down. There's no contesting that. And also, the Rein Sigma just plays better against the Rein D.Va, I think, overall. The Seoul Dynasty are going to struggle to get value out of this unless Marvel's constantly on the high ground, pairing away with Toad.
Ice Wall comes up from Shanghai. It's a little bit late, though. And the Ice Wall as well comes out from Seoul to try and block this Deadeye. Prophet having to use the Ice Block to just mitigate a lot of the damage there, but the damage is done. And look at this Lip on the flank. Huge Bionade as well, collapsing into the Fearless using the Earth Shatter just to really slam down as many players as possible. Gesture and Toby, they hit the deck and allow Shanghai to once again gain, or at least hold control at this point, and just keep accruing and rotating those ultimates.
Yeah, they'll keep building up. Fleder now close. Oh, Fleder actually does have his Blizzard, and Prophet about to get his in return as well. The Ana is a big difference maker here as well for the Seoul Dynasty. They don't have that immortality field to work around, but they can play more aggressive, they can play with the Nana boosts. They also have a lot more utility as well to be able to deal with. None of that is going to get eaten by a D.Va on the opposing side. So here we go. Flux to engage. Nice aggressive play by Shanghai, but Fitz is taken down.
There you go. The Graphitic Flux sent in straight up in the air. Fitz was just exposed to the elements, and Lip is absolutely dominating. He's already got 2 kills, make it 3. He has the high ground. And no, I'm not going to be making any prequel jokes. This match is far too good for it. Shanghai still in control. Lip is having a field day. That's a bit of an overextension, though, from Shanghai. I'm not sure what that is, but Seoul have taken advantage of it straight away, and they've managed to get 3 kills. That is actually quite unacceptable from Shanghai.
That's a huge overextension for the Shanghai Dragons. I was about to sing their praises. Oh my goodness, Lip is just taking them straight back into it as well. This should have been a slam dunk, no control, no possibility for the Shanghai Dragons to get back into it, but Lip almost opened it back up for his spawners to get back in. I have no idea there why Fearless and Lee Jae-gon decided to push. Lee Jae-gon has been an incredibly aggressive main support, and I think he might need to tone it down as well. If I'm thinking about potential weaknesses for the Shanghai Dragons, Lee Jae-gon is one of them, because although he's amazing on main support, he's been playing hyper aggro. Talk about hyper aggro, here goes Gesture with a Nana Boost.
Yep, full on aggression. Nana Boost, lay it up onto Gesture here, and he's going to be swinging into them. All the damage he's been doing is definitely going to be sustenance now for the rest of Seoul to just clean up these kills, get the players down, and they are, once more, still in control at this point. They're going to be ticking up this percentage now, 40% and counting. And in terms of ultimates, they really don't have much on the board to try and hold this one, unfortunately, for Seoul, if you are a Seoul fan looking at this.
Yeah, this is going to be a fairly default fight. I'm wondering whether they go for an aggressive D.Va.
Oh
my word!
Oh
the
my
four-man
goodness!
Shatter!
Bro, Fitz comes out with the Earth Shatter. That's what I'm calling it, because he just stunned up at least 4 of them. Shanghai will just opened up there, a slight weakness, a crack in the armor, if you will, but the accretion is going to cancel out the Deadeye. Fitz not going to be able to get any value from that, and Lee Jae-gon takes him out. The damage was done, removing the damage dealer. Now Seoul are in trouble, especially as Marvel's going to be demeched. Bit of a worrying scenario right now, because look at Shanghai just rolling this one forward. Fearless does exactly what it says on the tin. He's going to be fearless as he's rolling forward. Overtime, burns down. That's going to be round number 1 going to the Shanghai Dragons.
I'm so surprised that they managed to turn that fight after Fitz stuns 4 of them with the Flashbang Shatter, and then just Gesture picks up a kill immediately, and the Seoul Dynasty still can't turn it around. Shanghai, I feel, are playing at a bit of a faster pace and getting more value out of their ults. If Shanghai hadn't just fed with Lee Jae-gon and Fearless towards the end of that round, that would have been a shutout. There would have been no opportunity for Seoul Dynasty to come back into it. But okay, here we see some transitions. The compositions are going to swap up here, and Fearless on the hero that we thought he was going to play for the majority of this map. There's going to be a different look from both teams though. Both trying to play the dive style, but a Zen Brig is going to allow for armor packs on Fitz. Okay, Lee Jae-gon actually does end up going over to the Zen Brig. So mirror comps on both sides. This is more what we thought we would see.
Yeah, interesting support line compositions here. Maybe use the shield bash to lock people down. The Discord Orb is your win condition, but you're not missing out on any heals, of course. Brigida's armor packs are quite potent. Seoul are going to get the early high ground here, so you can see them using that jump pad to just gain a bit of an advantage. And Prophet's going to be peppering in damage, locking the legs in. He's going to go back to his team for heals. But the high ground is under control right now for Seoul. Shanghai going to be working their way in. Fearless going to get hacked up here. We'll see if they can get any openings. Right now, Gesture is the one who's falling very low. Fearless backs off to the health pack. And this fight is in favor of Shanghai with those 2 opening picks. Now Prophet, still an opportunity for him to clutch up, but the way he's being chased down right now by Fearless, not going to be happening as he will fall.
Not really known as a Soldier 76 player, Prophet. You would have more expected him to be on that Sombra to pair alongside Gesture, sync up with the dives, you know? Tracer not available this week, but that's the next best thing, perhaps. The Seoul Dynasty kind of get demolished in that first fight. Shanghai Dragons with far superior positioning, starting to build up towards an EMP here as well. And Shanghai have been so good at using these ults to be able to stay in control of the point, so I would expect them to try and play aggressive here with this EMP or potentially with attack visor and go for another dive.
Well, the high ground is still in control. The reason I'm talking about the high ground so much is because it is very important. Lip, you can see him in the back line. He's just trying to farm up the EMP. 99%, he's got it now. It's going to be one of the win conditions for Shanghai into this next fight. And they want to go in with it. It's going to be catching 5 members of Seoul in that EMP. All of them hacked up now. Fearless goes in with the Primal Rage, knocking them to the wind, finding the opportunities, and sets up his team for the victory there to clean up, if you will. 50% now on the capture point. Shanghai, despite that earlier sort of, egregious mistake in the earlier round that we saw, Shanghai have been looking quite clean, quite concise when it comes to their gameplay.
Pretty much perfect, apart from that one mistake. Lee Jae-gon got a very fast rally, and now with Fitz's EMP can get countered by Transcendence from Izayaki, or a rally from Lee Jae-gon, very difficult to be able to burn through as well. If they manage to pop either of these support ults, Fitz's EMP might not be able to be followed up on. Yeah,
and it's all on Fitz really to try and get some good value. You see Lip taking a very sort of passive angle here. He's just waiting for him. His Translocator is in the fight. He's destroying Fitz, so Fitz forced to use the EMP. They had to use that fight early, and Fitz could not go back to his team. What a ridiculous set play that we've just witnessed there. Got to give credit to the observing as well, being able to spot that one. And because Fitz went down and they got no value out of the EMP, they were ready with the Transcendence. Still not over yet though. Soul did manage to flip this point over, and they're going to try and even it out, but by losing all of these players, I think it just might be curtains at this point. Only a couple of players left. Gesture was remaining onto the point, but he was hacked up. The Discord as well makes quick work of the Primal Rage. And honestly, we're seeing a replay right now, but I think we might just miss the ending of this match.
Yeah, look, this is the double support orb, both being used exactly as Fitz used his EMP. Izayaki and Lee Jagon both managed to get their support ults out. And now, as you say, we're in the final fight. Seoul Dynasty desperately trying to get in. Prophet shut down, hasn't been able to do anything this entire match.
Izayaki caught out of position though, and that's a good opportunity. Marvel brings him down with the beatdown. The veteran just can't really save. Gesture forced to go over to the Wrecking Ball to try and salvage this, but he's going to get hacked up. And Seoul Dynasty, heartbreaking if you're a fan of the team, because they have just been absolutely crushed here. Shanghai Dragons just seem to be very prepared coming into this matchup for this map, and they are going to be taking it. Map number 1 going the way of Shanghai Dragons. And I gotta say, I just had almost a flashback to a tweet put out by Coach Moon, the current coach for Shanghai Dragons, and he did say, I'm going to sort of phrase it so to speak, but he did say, you know, he's been looking forward to this match for quite some time, and he hopes that the amount of preparation he's been putting into it is going to do this match justice for the fans. And I got to say, I think it's showing in spades right here.
Yeah, I mean, it must feel amazing to be Fletter as well as to be Coach Moon.
Sure.
And to be able to look over at the other squad, and yeah, it's changed a lot. The Seoul Dynasty is not really running many players compared to what they did in the previous year when Fletter was on that roster. But for Fletter to give them such a smackdown, and for it to be an entire team thing where they're just outplaying the Seoul Dynasty on all fronts, at least on control maps, that this is utter dominance. I mean, Seoul are being slightly exposed here, at least in map 1.
Maybe Matthew DeLisi was right, Josh. I mean, it's painstaking to even hear coming out of my mouth, but we're going to find out what's in store for the rest of this series after this break.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. I just had a sneezing fit off camera. You all missed it because we were in a break. We timed it perfectly. None of you saw it. It was fantastic. But I'm telling you about it now, so I guess that's...
ruined.
Ruined. Void the point. But why am I talking about my sneezing, Josh, when we've got this match at hand? Shanghai versus Seoul. This is the match that we were all looking forward to because it was going to decide who is going to be the king of the Asian region, who is going to be sitting on the throne. And so far... it's looking like Shanghai have got an early lead.
It definitely is. I mean, that was a dominant display on our first map of Oasis, and that's actually the first map that the Seoul Dynasty have lost in 2020. Up until this point, they only drew a map against the Gladiators. Other than that, they were only winning. Only winning. And yes, they haven't faced the absolute top level teams in the rest of the league, but Seoul looked so crushing with their wins over those good teams that we assumed the Seoul Dynasty were a very top-level team. Now, I will say this, Brent. It might be easy as a Seoul Dynasty fan to disregard that previous map.
Sure.
Marvel was only able to play the D.Va. We didn't see this Sigma head-to-head.
You're telling me they got unlucky with the RNG of the maps, the rounds? We didn't see University?
No, I don't think so, because I think University, maybe, they could have had some value there, but on Gardens, they just chose not to play it.
Right.
So I think maybe strategically, they were a little unprepared coming into that match to put Marvel in his best role. But if we truly see these two teams going head-to-head on Ryan Sigma compositions, maybe Seoul can get it closer, or at least have an opportunity to win these maps. Because that first map, they had no opportunity to win. They were barely able to get a foothold in the game. So Seoul need to turn some things around here, need to dig deep and get back on the same level as the Shanghai Dragons. Both of these teams are statistically the best that we have in the league right now. But that's just because they've dominated everybody else. They haven't faced that caliber of opponent yet. And this is our first chance of being able to witness that.
Well, here we go. Look at Fearless's positioning here. The teams are going to get ready. Fearless holding up a shield, getting an early fire strike, gets ate up by Marvel though, so you can see that he's not going to be getting any early ult charge. That was the intended response from that kind of play. You can see, well, Fitz ends up eating a fire strike anyway, so all of Marvel's hard work is for naught. Looks like they're going to be making some composition changes, perhaps, teasing it. So, yep, some switches across the board here, Josh.
Marvel goes over to the D.Va, so again, forced to play that role by the Shanghai Dragons compositions, which are utilizing the Pharah. The Sigma is really quite bad. Double shield compositions, not great against the D.Va. Against the Pharah. And Fitz just melts immediately, a nice Bionade that Marvel doesn't eat. It does seem to me like a lot of the plan here is to put Marvel in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, and early days yet when it comes to the strategy of things, but if that is their intended idea of what they want to do against Seoul, I mean, who can argue with the results thus far? Because it does feel like that they have spotted this weakness from Marvel a lot earlier on. I mean, we were reading it in the statistics when you said, I believe, was it the third highest death rate in the League of Divas. And they are sort of exploiting that to a degree, and you can see this damage that Flood has been putting in with the damage boosted rocket.
Good entry though this time. Good entry. Seoul managed to get through the choke without losing anybody. Nobody's even weak either. So Seoul are going to continue to rotate, but they cannot lose anybody as they move around this map. And eventually they need to get onto Izzyaki or Lip.
A little bit of a double fake here. They're moving around. They're going to use the nano boost here onto Fitz, and Lee Jae-go goes down. Huge Earth Shadow from Fearless though to try and turn this one around. The barrage by Fleder, it's unleashed, but it's brought to an end as Marvel just flies into him, causes Fleder to just basically fall here, but does not matter. Lip's able to clutch this one up in the end. He's hitting the shots. I mean, they're staggering Bdosin. It's always risky, I think, staggering anyone other than a D.Va, because you might end up in a scenario where they end up getting a kill by accident, but
I think it's quite unlikely that the Ana gets a kill,
well,
you know?
Here's the thing, Josh, you never see me play Ana.
I've seen Bdosin play Ana, and he's fantastic at it, but even he isn't getting a kill against the Shanghai Dragons composition right now. And I like that as well, because they bought a bit of time for people to get back into the fight. Yeah, they need to kill Lip here. Lip has been a freak so far this match. He's been unbelievably good.
Fitz with the Deadeye. Going to end up using it on the front line there, so Fearless will be going down, but it's going to be the counter Deadeye by Lip. Doesn't get anything
Instant
done,
res.
but these shots are ridiculous right now. The flashbangs are on point. He's hitting everything right now. Kill feed, I should say, just lighting up. And Lip is looking like, you know, when when this team was being put together, when Shanghai Dragons was being put together, all eyes were, realistically speaking, on Fleta as the primary damage dealer for this team.
Oh, yeah.
Lip is showing why you shouldn't really be sleeping on any part of the Shanghai Dragons, because when it comes together, it's a well-oiled machine.
Total rookie player as well, and just comes in and he's dominating in this match.
What a Bionade! Oh my goodness! Seoul Dynasty forced to use the beat to even engage through that because of the Bionade, but I think they're going to be happy with that regardless, because Fitz is hitting so many shots. Already 3 picks for him. Make it 4. Void, just a flick of the wrist. Lip's still alive, but not for much longer, as Prophet will meet him with the Stray Icicle. And an opening for Seoul, but they had to expend a lot for that.
Fitz with a perfect play, though. They managed to roll their way in. Great use of the freeze from Prophet to isolate Fearless with his wall and then freeze him up, get the pick on the Reinhardt really early on. And Fitz constantly looking and monitoring for that Pharah Mercy combo and manages to find some beautiful shots onto them. Took Seoul Dynasty a long time, but now they have 4 ults coming into B. And Fleta, Lijic gone, nowhere near their ults because they had to swap. This is a potential.
Yeah, all eyes on Void right now. Try and eat up some of these crucial ultimates. Now, Seoul have already got a tick here. You can see the slate on Gesture. That is wonderful plays. The self-destruct's going to be getting maximum value as Fitz goes down. Salvageable right now, but Seoul are walking away with it right now. They have 2 ticks. The Earthshatter comes out here from Gesture. It's going to connect onto a couple other players, bringing them down onto the ground. But Shanghai are getting the spawners back in, and they are going to be able to battle back. Find the opening picks that they needed to just kind of stop the bleeding there, per se.
I want to point out an amazing play that just happened in that. Gesture was slept and on the floor, and Void throws his self-destruct into the backlines. Gesture's dead, right?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Body blocks it with his ice block.
Yep.
He blocks line of sight with his ice block, not his Mei wall, his ice block, to protect both of them and still have the wall for afterwards. They lose the fight, but what a heads-up play from Prophet.
So sick. Prophet on a variety here. It doesn't matter what he's playing. He still makes it look good. And now we're seeing a very fast engagement by both these teams. But that's a nano-boosted Reinhardt, and it's a very, very scary thing when you're trapped in the corridors of Hanamura. All that damage has to go somewhere, and in this case, goes straight to Fearless's head and his ult charge. Not to imply that Fearless has an ego, but...
Void was taking an off angle on the lower level, and he managed to find completely free damage. So as the Seoul Dynasty push in up the staircase, Void is just shooting them, and they're not pushing Void out of position. They need Marvel on the Sigma to push Void out of position, and now he goes over to it. Now we're seeing Seoul at full potential with Marvel on that Sigma, no longer crippled by having to play D.Va. They can try and shove Void out of position, but what an eat immediately.
What in the Lord's name am I witnessing? Will it be enough, though, to try and win this fight out? The sound barrier is used and committed here by Seoul Dynasty to try and turn this fight, but it doesn't matter. Shanghai are the ones in control. They are the ones putting out the damage and getting the kills in the end. And it's bodies that you need to try and capture a point. Not fancy plays, although they do certainly help. Sometimes Seoul have to go back to the drawing board here.
Even with the Blizzard eaten by Marvel, immediately making an impact as soon as he swaps over to the Sigma, they're not able to push the Shanghai Dragons away. Shanghai are so coordinated, their timing is perfect. Just the sheer aggression and how they coordinate their attacks from the 2 main tanks from different angles crushed the Seoul Dynasty. They couldn't stay alive.
Going for a little bit of a fake play here, going straight through main. The Ice Wall's going to be splitting them up here from the Deadeye, but oh my word, Fitz goes down from Brigadier Flux and Void. He's finding 2 kills, making 3 on the high, I should say the high ground. I was about to say the high ropes. I mean, they're not quite ropes at the end of the day, but Fearless, the aggression from him, he realizes that Seoul, they only have 12 seconds remaining to try and push this one in. That's why he was playing so far forward there. But Shanghai are in complete control here. Seoul have to make a miracle play. Lip using the Deadeye early on just to push them away from the point here, and none of them can even touch. It doesn't even matter that they have the Blizzard. It doesn't matter that they have the Earthshatter. Shanghai holds strong, and they do not allow Seoul to get that second checkpoint.
Great play from the Shanghai Dragons. I want to point out that every single time Seoul Dynasty push, Shanghai have already got a plan of which ults to use and exactly how to use them. They're comboing the Fluxes, they're getting Deadeyes off at the end, they had the aggressive Blizzard play and everybody dropping down. This is a team that knows precisely what their plan is at every moment based on where Seoul are pushing and what ults are up. The communication is amazing in this team right now. And the amount of pre-planning going into their defense was sublime. But having said that, this is still a winnable map for the Seoul Dynasty. Full holds on B, they happen fairly often. Even though we saw some full captures of Hanamura, there's still been a lot of first point holds and second point holds on B. So Seoul are not out of this yet. They can still tie it up 1-1 at the half.
Yeah, Salt, it's not uncommon, as you said, for teams to get those get the holds even on this first checkpoint here. If you can shut out a team for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Shanghai's comp that they're kind of teasing us with here. I imagine they're gonna switch some things up. Possibly, but Fleta teasing us here with a little bit of May action fire as well to try and bust open this. Lip going to be moving over to Symmetra, probably not going to be permanent just to get the team.
I don't know. I think this might be a sim strat. I think that they're just going for the straight to point kind of sim strat because the Izayaki Batiste gives it away. You definitely want to be running the Batiste if you're going for a sim strat.
Yeah, you don't need the Lucio for the speed boost, just TP straight away. They're just trying to take positioning and they TP on, so they can use the ice to flash the TP.
But Fitz feeds.
Fitz does go down in the end here. Gesture trying to get an angle now, just swinging off on the side, goes for the charge but mistimes it, ends up just charging straight into the wall now. Shanghai Dragons seem to be just in control of the point. They're putting in so much work, so much damage, and Gesture falls. Only a couple of players left and they've almost got this point already. Shanghai Dragons are just rolling it forward. They have come prepared, they've done their homework, they've drank their milk, Josh. And they're coming for that second checkpoint.
That's a horrible mistake from Fitz and the rest of the Seoul Dynasty. Fitz goes for a flashbang as soon as they get out of the teleporter, which the rest of Seoul should have followed up on if it was communicated effectively, and they weren't there. So Fitz just dies immediately. He trades his life for a small stun. That's not worth it at all. And Seoul immediately falls straight after that. All of these ults now available. Nice TP to take the high ground. And Shanghai are already on the point.
They pulled them apart. They pulled them to pieces like a pulled pork sandwich, Josh. I don't know what I'm witnessing right now. Seoul Dynasty are crumbling before our very eyes. It's just absolutely absurd. They've taken the point by storm. And that's it. That's the map. I mean, what have we just witnessed?
Well, we were promised a match. We thought we were getting a battle of the juggernauts, a slobber knocker. And instead, we're just realizing that there are tiers unknown.
Yeah.
Like the amount that both of these teams were rolling the other teams in the Asian region, we just assumed they would be somewhat equal. But no, Shanghai is now rolling the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah.
It's not close. It simply isn't close. This is absurd. Shanghai are transcendent.
And we're getting closer and closer to the unfortunate reality that Matthew DeLisi may have been correct.
First time in his life.
That Super may have been right about something. I mean, it's bad enough that, Custer is coming for my job on the desk. Now I've got to worry about Super as well being right all the time. There's no justice in the world, Josh. There's no justice. But we're going to be going to a short game break. Don't go anywhere. Wait us around. We're going to see what our analysts have to say about this match.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Game Break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. And we've just witnessed an absolute one-sided slobber knocker thus far between the Shanghai Dragons and the Seoul Dynasty. Something that we weren't expecting, something that we've been iterating this entire series has been that we were anticipating this to be the battle of the juggernauts. But right now, Shanghai have done their homework and they are looking stellar.
They really are. Shanghai are proving to be on a total other level. And I think a lot of it comes down to tempo, honestly. The speed at which these two teams are playing at. Shanghai is making decisions so much faster than the Seoul Dynasty is. And for them to get back into it, they've got to be on the same page. They've got to be on another level in terms of their teamwork and their coordination. And that might sound like vague terms, but it really is. It's making decisions fast like the Shanghai Dragons are. Otherwise, you get picked apart.
So as we move into the crunch time presented by Cheez-It Grooves, Josh, I mean, I don't believe you've got any plays for us, but what can Seoul Dynasty do to make it back into this game? You know, what can they do to battle back here?
Well, I think Hanamura is a good example, right? You take the two fights that happened on Hanamura when the Seoul Dynasty were defending. Sure. The first one, they know that there's a Symmetra. They should have a plan set up for what to happen, for what to do when the Symmetra teleports into you. And there was a plan. It was for Fitz to flashbang and for them to collapse on the stunned players, presumably, and to at least force out an immortality field and then re-engage afterwards. That plan totally failed. Fitz was caught out immediately and died first. The next fight on point B, because there were only two fights, they got absolutely rolled. Fitz was the first death again. So Fitz, I believe, is trying to make these plays happen, and instead, his team is not with him. Whereas you see on the other side, Lip is so perfectly supported at all times. When Fearless goes in for these plays, Void is backing him up. They know what ults to use. They're perfect in their timings. And you never see these problems occur when the Seoul Dynasty is playing against weaker teams, because the weaker teams just aren't able to play fast enough to expose these problems for Seoul. Right. They still have enough time to be able to support each other and make those decisions. But playing against a faster team like Shanghai, or if they were playing against the Shock right now, the Seoul Dynasty are going to be making these kind of mistakes. That's what needs to be tightened up in the second half. They got to get their brains ticking a little faster.
Play faster, play more aggressive. That's the Josh Wilkinson guarantee.
Yep. Okay. It's a guarantee. I'm not saying they're guaranteed to get back in this game. This looks like it's absolutely over. This looks like the Shanghai Dragons are the real deal, and the Seoul Dynasty are a tier below.
Fortunately for our sleeping schedules, but unfortunately for the greater love of Overwatch, I guess, as well. But that's going to do it for our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves, and of course the crunch time as well. After this break, of course, the match will be resuming. Do not go anywhere. Will the Seoul Dynasty be able to battle back and reverse sweep? Well, we're going to find out after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. And, of course, we are still in this series here between Shanghai Dragons and the Seoul Dynasty, watching these two teams clash. But so far, quite a one-sided affair. And we're about to see, can the Seoul Dynasty achieve the impossible? Something that we haven't seen for quite some time. Can they reverse sweep it? If it's going to happen, it's going to be happening on this next map, Josh.
Yep, and the next map is Rialto. Rialto's quite an interesting one. We've seen the Asian teams play a lot of Pharah to counter double shield. And so my theory is that the Shanghai Dragons will probably play the Pharah here in order to force Marvel onto the D.Va. We'll see if that ends up still carrying on as a theme. Because honestly, if I'm the Shanghai Dragons at the halftime, it almost seems like you can just beat these guys playing no matter what. They were playing just a straight up Rein Sigma battle, and they were battering the Seoul Dynasty. Just annihilating them. Much better flanks on the Sigma. It's not that the individual level is necessarily better from Void compared to Marvel, but the team's understanding of where to have them positioned and how that applies pressure on a team that's pushing in was sublime. It's elite level Overwatch being played by the Shanghai Dragons. They really look like they've adapted to every meta that's come their way. They've got all of the ability on the roster you could possibly ask for, and the team coordination. This is a scary, scary team. Yeah, definitely looking very formidable, and the Seoul not quite up to scratch of it. I mean, I just want to bring back, because I do find it interesting as well, that Super, Matthew DeLisi, made the comment saying that this would be a game. He didn't say who, but we can also kind of imply that he was talking about Seoul, where a team would have their weaknesses shown and sort of bare to the world almost. Definitely what we've seen here. I mean, the aggressive tempo that Shanghai have been playing and the inability of Seoul to be able to keep up with it. I can imagine this kind of scenario actually repeating if it was the San Francisco Shock playing instead of Shanghai here. Sure. Yeah, and I think that the Seoul Dynasty have... listen, let's not go too overboard. The Seoul Dynasty have still been demolishing teams. They annihilated both of the LA teams. Gladiators is a very good team. They also annihilated, who was it? The Hangzhou Spark, I believe. Am I remembering things correctly? Seoul played against Hangzhou recently. Do not ask me. I mean, what time is it? Yeah, it's 3 a.m. and the knowledge of Overwatch has evacuated my brain. Leave the history to Wolf. At that point, it's ancient history, mate. Happened yesterday. Just leave it. Yeah, so the Seoul Dynasty, anyway, dominated their game yesterday as well, playing against a reasonably good opponent. So they've proven that they are, like, at least tier 2, but it seems like there's an enormous gap between tier 1 and tier 2 in the Asian region that doesn't really seem to be evident, or as evident, in North America. You think about that the other way around. The Dallas Fuel were able to take Shock to 5 maps, whereas this is a total stomp between the first and the second best team in the Asian region, as far as we can tell. That's weird. Is it just that the Shanghai Dragons have come in quite prepared for it, though? Could we see next week that Seoul step up their game and that they end up playing up to the same level and are able to deal with the tempo of the Shanghai Dragons? It's possible. The teams can definitely improve and keep adapting. There's hero pools, right, that change things up and mix things out all over the place. But for this match, it's all going to come down to Rialto. If you're the Seoul Dynasty, you cannot afford to lose this. And they're going to come out and witness Fleder again on the Pharah, on the defense, which forces... Okay, I was going to say forces Marvel to play the D.Va, but instead the Seoul Dynasty are going to bank on running this double shield, putting Marvel on a comfort role, and just allowing Fitz to try and dominate that Pharah Mercy. No. He's moved back. He's moved back over to the D.Va. Oh, he has. I thought that was a weird decision. Yeah. Fitz needs more help than that. But you can see that they're uncomfortable, right? They wanted to play the Sigma. Yeah. But the internal discussions within the team, they decide Marvel has to go back to D.Va. The hesitation there was evident. And now we'll see what Seoul can do here. Now, I do want to show Seoul some respect here. I do think that they're capable of reverse sweeping. We know that there's some high-quality players on this team. They get it in order and sort of
match the tempo of Shanghai that they're playing into them right now, but they do look a little bit lost. You can see Marvel as well trying to work around these off angles, trying to eat up these rockets now, these damage boosted rockets from Fleta. That's going to be the name of the game. Remove the 1 win condition that they have. And now the go button's being pressed. He's going to try and chunk down at least Lee Jae Gon, but Lee Jae Gon instantly gets here back up. Flit's going to be peppering in a couple of shots though, but they're being disjointed now by the rest of the team, and Fleta takes full advantage while Lip just demolishes the front line. Prophets not going to really be saying, you know, get away from my main tanks, lad, okay? Hits some of the icicles, but is going to be forced to reset and back off because the rest of his team, well, they're back in the respawn queue.
Now, Lee Jae Gon goes for a resurrect on Lip, and Fleta actually dies, so I think that's a mistake from Lee Jae Gon. If they had just allowed Lip to come back with the team, they had got the kill on Prophet late enough that I think Lip actually manages to get back into that fight. And now Fleta is going to be a little slower, so Seoul Dynasty can press in here without having to worry about the Pharah. That gives them so much more space.
Fearless goes down with the Earth Shatter, he lays it down, it actually connected onto 3 targets! And he bought some time now for the rest of Shanghai to get back in. Gesture slept up, pinned against the wall. Fearless wins that 1v1. Shanghai, despite the fact that they ended up losing Fleta, it wasn't available for the start of that teamfight when it kicked off. Still able to buy enough time to win it in the end.
And actually, Fleta opened up with the first kill. Immediately kills Fitz as soon as he gets back into the fight. The Seoul Dynasty had the space that they needed to enter, at least get a good beginning to the fight. But after that, it all went wrong. Another point here as well, Fearless is ruining Gesture. He's making him look like old Gesture where he forgot how to play Reinhardt. Gesture's been killing people on the Rhine recently. He's been improved. Yeah. He's looked so good. And in this match, Fearless has just had his number every single time.
I'll say though, when the going gets rough in a game, when nothing really goes your way, sometimes those fundamentals can just go to the bin and go to the wayside. Maybe that's what we're seeing here, because Prophet eating up these rockets. Ends up using the Blizzard here early on, and that is a bit of a mistake there from Fleta, trying to use the barrage, trying to get away with it because it's opened it up. Flitz gets 2 kills. Fleta going to get resurrected, but Fitz immediately on him. You can see the Deadeye going to be utilized here. Marvel going to be demeched here. Taken out as well by Lip, but this choke point is brutal to try and push through. Soundbite is going to be used. The aggression, but look at that Earth Shatter by Fearless! He shuts down any sort of plays the Soul were going to be going for here. The Nano Boost is utilized, but Fearless will be going down. Big Bionade from Bdosin shut down a lot of the healing that he might have been getting there from his team. They're able to find that kill because of it, but it's not over just yet because Shanghai have surrounded them like a colony of ants just attacking a banana that's left out in the sun for too long.
That's exactly the image that came to my mind as well, Brent. The Seoul Dynasty are making desperation swaps here. There's 10 seconds left. Just gone over to the Wrecking Ball. Lip and Fleta have just been dominant in this match so far. A full point hold here on Rialto would be the end of the line. Marvel having to use his self-destruct as well as Gesture gets onto the point.
Uses the self-destruct. Lip with the Deadeye pushes them away. But can anyone even touch this point right now? It's hard. Gesture on the Wrecking Ball moves into the backline here. Remember, they have to touch the card, they have to stay on it just to get slept up, flashbanged, and destroyed. He's out of this fight. They've lost one of their tank players. It's a brutal scenario right now for the Seoul Dynasty. Their hopes and dreams are just crumbling before their very eyes for this series. Fleta finding the pick-off here onto Prophet and nobody able to touch the point. It's going to be the full hold before the first capture point whatsoever on Rialto. We see it from time to time, but did we expect it between these two juggernaut teams? Not quite.
An unexpected complete collapse from the Seoul Dynasty. Gesture whiffs a shatter. Fearless lands 2 huge clutch shatters to turn around fights. Fleta and Lip have been dominant over their counterparts. Prophet, we've basically never said Prophet's name this entire match. Didn't think I was going to be in that situation whatsoever. And the Shanghai Dragons are rolling.
Yeah.
They're dominating. I think you're right though, Brent. When the going gets tough, the Seoul Dynasty have started to rely on individual plays instead of making sure that their teamwork and their fundamentals are tight. Gesture going for an aggressive shatter that gets absolutely nothing, goes on a flank, rest of his team ends up dying and paying for it because his shield isn't there to defend them. Prophet goes for an aggressive Blizzard, doesn't really catch much. He was overextended a little bit, and they can't deny a res that comes in onto Fleta. There's a lot of mistakes here happening from the Seoul Dynasty, and I think part of them are coming because they're not confident in their ability to outplay the Shanghai Dragons based on teamwork alone. Each player feels like they have to make something big happen, and that leads to a lot of mistakes across the board.
Yeah, the fundamentals just kind of failing a little bit here. Shanghai going to be opting for familiar composition here. Fearless teasing us though. He switched to the Zarya, but back over to the Winston. Showing there's a little bit more in his arsenal, so to speak. Lip laying down the transcend early, and he has spotted Fitz. He's going to be calling this to his team now. Where is the McCree playing? Well, he knows exactly where they're playing right now. And it's going to be a coordinated attempt now as he's going to be peppering in a bit of damage here into Fitz. Fitz very, very low, and Flutter lays down the rockets from on high. And that's the kind of coordination that has just been so telling throughout this entire series. They lay in the damage, they lay in the rockets. Flutter opening it up, softening up the opponents right now as Seoul are just crumbling to pieces. It does hurt to see the team in this kind of state, but right now Shanghai putting on an absolute masterclass of Overwatch.
The timing is perfect. It's absolutely impeccable. It's Overwatch being played at a theoretically superb level. Yeah, the timing of that attack to be able to kill Fitz immediately was fantastic.
Hack on the Prophet, can't use the Ice Wall, can't use his Ice Block. Lip solo kills him. Nanabu's gets negated as Fearless dove into the background. Fitz gets a kill. This could be the start of some sort of turnaround right now, but they need to get more than just that. Nice little Bionade from Bados, and the individual plays are coming together right now. Depreciation not going to be connecting. Body blocked it in the end by Void. The Fearless gets resurrected back up. Still, Fitz is alive, but not for much longer. Lee Jae Gong just beats him down, removing one of the damage dealers. Shanghai still in this fight. Now, Lip with that EMP, he's waiting for a good opportunity to use it. He's hanging about the upper sections right now on that balcony. Now he's dropped down, and they're going to be trying to coordinate some sort of play, just waiting for it. EMP finally goes off, connects onto 4 members of the team. Fearless takes out Fitz, the prime rage from Fearless in the backline, deals with Toby. There's almost no sweat whatsoever. Finds Badosin off the tail end of it as well. Certainly going to be Blizzard from Prophet to try and stave them away from the point. Gesture goes for a nice little Earth Shatter. Will connect it onto 1, but I'm afraid that is going to be it. Going out with slightly a whimper. The Shanghai Dragons are going to be winning map number 3. GGs are called in the chat all around. A lot of respect being shown to both of T's teams between the players, obviously, as you'd expect.
But was it a GG, Bren? Was it a GG?
Game? Yeah, you want to be that guy, Josh? If you were in that game, would you have just typed BG, bad game?
No, I wouldn't have been disrespectful, obviously. But what I mean is, that was barely a game.
Yeah.
That was an utter stomping. There is a bigger difference right now between Shanghai and Seoul than between Seoul and the teams that they were dominating. That was an unbelievable role.
Yeah.
Shanghai's up at a total different level.
It's quite absurd to watch, to be honest, because I thought this kind of level of Overwatch realistically was actually quite hard to achieve with the hero pool rotations every week.
Yeah,
normally you only see this
week
when a team has been playing a singular composition for quite some time, but the fundamentals are just clean across the board, just fully clean. It's time for our player of the match, though, presented by Xfinity, and it is going to be Lip. This guy was on point.
He's so
Flashbangs, his aim was phenomenal. Fitz was, making it a little bit difficult for him, but the thing is, Lip, when he's being enabled by the rest of his team, when Flutter's softening up the targets, it's quick work, obviously, for him.
Yep, Lip was phenomenal the entire time throughout this series. He had many clutch moments, the damage was hyper consistent, and there was nothing that the Seoul Dynasty could do to shut him down. There were many times where Lip should have been the person that was most exposed for Seoul. If you're running a McCree Pharah composition and your aim is to overrun the people on the ground, well, guess what? Lip is your first priority. Him and the Ana should have been exposed in this match, but did not happen. Lip was hitting every shot, perfectly positioned, always in a good opportunity to get a flank when he was playing the Sombra, perfectly timed with Fleta. I mean, this was a masterclass from all players, but Lip really showing that his mechanical skill is able to outpace the best in the world.
Yeah. Well, the games don't end just there. After this, we are going to have another match. It's going to be the Guangzhou Charge versus the New York Excelsior. This is interesting, of course. New York just moved over to the Asian region. I believe they're all in Korea right now. And they had a pretty one-sided game the other day against Chengdu, but that's going to do it and finalize the series of Shanghai versus Seoul. what a ridiculous series it was, but for very different
reasons. Still shell-shocked.
Still shell-shocked, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because we're going to be going to a break, but when we come back, we're going to have Guangzhou Charge versus the New York Excelsior.